Hi Nerdfighteria, it's a day ending in Y, and I'm making this video to tell you about how I came to Nerdfighteria, about my road. Now, the simple answer is that my sister gave me a video, and it was a John Green video, and I watched it, and I thought, this is awesome. But it doesn't really give any insight into why I found Nerdfighteria to be appealing. I really want to give you my perspective on why Nerdfighteria is important to me. So, I was always picked on as a kid. I wasn't nearly masculine enough. And I didn't really like feminine things either. I liked way too many nerdy things, like Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy games, Dragonlance novels, and everything else. I didn't get along well with people who were doing all the posturing for a more traditional, toxic masculinity. And then I found Boy Scouts. Stick with me. In Boy Scouts, I learned to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, all of the rest. I met people who were dedicated to service. These people didn't trade in that toxic masculinity. In Boy Scouts, I made lifelong friends who continue to inspire me today. But we've kind of spread to the winds, me and my friends. We're in Colorado or New Hampshire or DC or even Germany, to name a few places. So at 18, I went away to college, and I was thoroughly unimpressed with a lot of the people I went to school with. I do love a couple of them still, but for the most part, it was still that toxic masculine environment and a lot of anti-nerd. And the environment wasn't just anti-nerdy things, it was anti the essence of nerdy, that mindset that John talks about enthusiasm. So then I found the townies. I found punks and weird hair and new interesting music. I found a lot of people who were really enthusiastic about what they did. I learned about feminism and how to listen to people different from me, how to have a growth mindset, and most importantly to me though, I later moved to Boston where I found a variety of alt scenes and my people, my tribe. This was the first time I really felt like these were mine. I learned to spin fire, I started going to Burns, and I learned yet another way for me to think of family aside from that Boy Scout family I'd earlier found. I organized things within the fire scene and tried in a more limited way to improve that scene, to work with consent and safety, support marginalized groups, and all the rest of those things that I believe in. Biggest to my mindset, I've had certain influencing factors along the way that don't belong to any of those other things. I'll never forget my friend RJ, who used to yell things at drivers who cut him off like, "You're a good person and you deserve good things!" Another big influence on me was a place called Summerbridge, which I worked at during the summers of 2003 and 2004 while I was still in college. And everything there was organized around helping at-risk youth to raise them up, to help themselves raise themselves up. That was a project which was awesome. And so I think this all adds up to the fact that when my sister showed me some John Green videos around 2013-ish, I immediately recognized something in the way that John and Hank talk, and that called to me. All of this stuff about not forgetting to be awesome, imagining others complexly. I saw how John and Hank always give people the benefit of the doubt, things that had somehow by 2013 left me along the way, as I became more jaded as I aged, I guess. And the way that John and Hank frame things helped push back against that jaded outlook. Since I live in Boston, I finally attended NerdCon Nerdfighteria because, hey, it was in my backyard. And that's when I realized that it was not just Hank and John. Everyone I met at NerdCon, so enthusiastically nerdy, so dedicated to decreasing world suck, so amazingly awesome. Everyone I met pushed back against that jaded outlook that I've kind of acquired along the years. They embodied these ideals and outlooks and perspectives I've learned along the way in my life, and up until then had started to forget to varying degrees. These perspectives: service, listening to the experiences of others, having a growth mindset, decreasing world suck, giving people the benefit of the doubt, and assuming that people could do better. I loved reminding each other constantly to not forget to be awesome. And that is when I really recognized, being at NerdCon, this was a thing I wanted to be part of. And so I've been on this road my whole life, even though I saw the first signpost at 2013, when I saw those first Vlogbrothers videos. But I feel like at NerdCon, that was the time when I finally arrived at the destination and can say that I am now part of Nerdfighteria.